Tonight, we're playing Gravy Bones. Post-ban. Alright, so as I said, we're playing Gravy Bones post-ban. And this is the deck we end up playing in the last game. I'll probably only show the last game because I have had audio issues tonight, apparently. Nothing has recorded audio. I might do a voiceover of that game, but this, if you watched the other Gravy Bones video I did, I called it like Smooth Brain Gravy. It had way less allies because I was like, I don't want to be ally heavy. I don't want to always have an ally in my hand. I don't want to get 3 ally hands. I still feel that way. So I don't know if this is the final version of the deck. In the Valda game, there were a few hands that were like, here's 4 allies, here's 3 allies and a sea legs, here's 2 allies, a sea legs, and a conqueror of the high seas, and it's frustrating when those hands come up. But yeah, this is where we ended for the night. It basically, in my head, runs the same, just 1 turn slower. So basically, instead of Tipple, you're running Swindler's Grift. You obviously don't have Go Again on it, but that's your gold generator. You can run the yellows if you want. I don't think you need to. But the good thing about Swindler's Grift is you don't get Go Again, but instead of coming in for 3, so the one block will block it, they have to block with 2 cards. You're getting in that chip damage. So that's nice. You can still run the blue golden Tipples, which you can pitch for 3, or chip in for 1 damage, or discard an ally, get the gold, draw a card. Like Swindler. I'm not gonna lie and say Swindler's Grift is the perfect replacement. It's not. It is a replacement though, and I think it's good enough. I don't think that the meta is going to change that much. I think the pros are going to be like, yeah, I can pay 1 more and I'll go a little heavier on the blues. Like, that's fine. My blue base will be bigger. I don't think they're going to start playing cards like Loot the Arsenal and Loot the Hold because I don't believe they play that in their pro deck. I believe they've worked out Give No Quarter, but they can do another Tip the Barkeep. There's plenty of blues out there. I've only got 2 Back Alley and 2 Call of the Grave. They'll probably run 3 of those, which already takes care of like Loot the Hold. Like, so they're going to be fine. The reason I play Loot the Hold and Loot the Arsenal is I like the disruption of, now I'm going to attack your hand and I'm going to attack you and yada yada yada. Limpet was an all-star. We might also see that they go more ally heavy and it's just like you sit behind your allies and attack. In the games, Conqueror of the High Seas didn't feel good, but Blood in the Water felt amazing. Yeah, I think the deck is fine. I think it's way more fair. I think it's much better. I think that the bans were good. I think that they did a good job. Long story short, Gravy's fine. The pros will figure it out. Will less people play Gravy? Absolutely. Because he's going to be even harder to play. Because now it costs 2 rather than the 1. And you can't just bam, 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 bam. It will be different. But I still think he's now A tier rather than S tier. I don't think they cut his legs completely off. They cut off his feet. But he already had a pig leg. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.